Travis Hunter continues to add to his already impressive legacy. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Excuse me. Lost my voice there for like 0.2 seconds. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, so that way you don't miss out on a moment of the coverage. Last night was awards night in college football, and if you don't already know, let me refresh you or let me show you. Travis Hunter. Yeah, that two-way guy that plays a lot of snaps for Colorado, that apparently, because he plays a lot of snaps for Colorado, people don't think he's that good. Yeah, he won pretty much every award humanly possible. He didn't win the Maxwell, didn't win the Thorpe because, but he will get Deion Sanders' Thorpe. So we'll call it that point moot. We'll call it void, if you will. But he won a bunch of awards. And so I'm going to run you down the list of every award he's won and sort of talk about what I think his legacy will be on Colorado and what I think his legacy will be on college football, because I think we are witnessing a generational player. And as someone who's grown up watching college football, learning about generational players, like I watched Vince Young play when I was really young. I watched Reggie Bush play when I was really young. Those guys were generational. I would say guys like Johnny Manziel were generational. I'm trying to think of who else is like super generational, like maybe Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. All those guys were generational talents, right? But it seems very rare that all of those guys were as respected nationally as Travis Hunter is. And so let's run you through the list. So he wins the Paul Hornung Award, which is given to the world, maybe the world, the nation's most versatile player. He won that award last year. Basically, the award is for him just being an absolute badass at everything he does, right? Like, he absolutely nails everything he does, and he's continuing to dominate both sides, receiver, corner. Whether people want to admit it or not, he is the best player at both positions. And I know a lot of people want to throw that snap argument, and I don't really think that's the argument that they think it is. Like, I think they're just saying, oh, he plays a lot, and that's why we're giving him the award. And I don't really know why that they think that erases all of his stats, all of his production, all of his major plays, the eye test plays. I think some people are a little too caught up in like, this guy had the best stats, so he should have won. And it's like, okay, if the award was given to the player with the best stats in every position, then name it that. But that's not what it is, right? Sometimes guys will have better stats and win an award. Simple as that. The same reason that Shedeur Sanders has better passing stats than Dylan Gabriel, and he's not a Heisman finalist, right? Dylan Gabriel is the quarterback on the best team in the country. Of course, he's going to get in over a quarterback who's playing in the Alamo Bowl. Like, that's how life works. Sometimes players who have better production don't win awards or don't receive honors because there's other factors. Shocker. Okay, moving on. He was the AP Player of the Year. He won the Lot Impact Trophy, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, which we talked about last week. The Benenderic Award, which is the best defensive player in the country, which somehow he could win that, but he's not the best corner in the country. I feel like there's one particular award out there who maybe has some reconsidering to do on how they pick their candidates. At the very least, Travis should have been a candidate, because I think Jahdae Barron for Texas was really good. I saw a stat where it was like, if you threw the ball into the ground, like if you intentionally spiked the ball, that would be you'd have a better completion percentage or whatever, or you'd have a better QBR, excuse me, than if you threw at Jahdae Barron. So, I mean, deserving. I broke down the other two finalists, and not to say that those guys weren't deserving either, but Travis he had better numbers, and like I said, I think he had a bigger impact than the other couple guys. So, moving on. He won the Biletnikoff, which I think is the most controversial win of his, because I think a lot of people were like, Nick Nash from San Jose State has the Triple Crown and he should win the award. And I don't think that's how the voters viewed it, obviously. And I don't think stats are everything, right? I think, again, if the awards were meant for the players with the best stats at every position, they would say as such, but that's not the case. And then he also won the Walter Camp Award, which means the only award that he has left to win is the Heisman. So let's talk about it. Obviously, when you win 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 awards that are major, you're doing something right. He became the first player in college football to ever win the Benderek. I can never say that one, and the Blitnikoff Award. It's one of those things where we're witnessing, like I said, a generational talent that we may never see this again. Like, we may never see a two-way player like this again. We may see guys try to play both ways, right? I think teams around the country may be more willing to give guys a shot. Be like, hey, you played corner and receiver in high school. You were good at really good at both. We could use a corner and receiver. Like, I think teams may be more willing to try that. But do I think it's going to become a common, like, hey, this team has 3 two-way guys, this team has 2 No, because at the end of the day, no one's Travis Hunter, right? There's a reason that we have never seen this before, right? You go back to Charles Woodson, Champ Bailey, Deion Sanders. None of them did this at this high of a rate, at this much of an elite level as Travis has. And I think his legacy will be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we're going to look back and be like, Travis Hunter was literally dominating both sides of the ball. He was a force to be reckoned with. And I think sometimes when we talk about two-way players, it's almost like, especially in comparison to Travis Hunter, it's like taking away from what Travis does, because it's like, well, Miles Jack played both ways, or, well, Jabril Peppers, he played on some offense, right? Or Adoree Jackson, he did some things. And it's like, yeah, they all did. And they're all really good. They were all great in their own right. None of them were the guy at both positions. There was like Jabril Peppers, was a guy who was a really good safety that was really athletic, and they would give him a couple packages here or there on offense, right? Adoree Jackson, really good, same thing, kind of special teams, and they would give him a look here or there. Miles Jack, he was a solid running back, but he was never like UCLA is going to hand the ball off to Miles Jack 30 times a game. They're going to win every single game. Like, that's not what it is. Like, Travis Hunter is legitimately like the best player on defense and the best player on offense. And he's going to win the Heisman this weekend. And which is, I mean, just a testament to how great of a season he's having. But I think people need to stop with all these comparisons. They need to stop sort of trying to shoot it down, because I think at the end of the day, we're witnessing history. We're witnessing greatness. And I think the one thing that we're really bad at as a society is respecting greatness when we're watching it firsthand, right? I think the saddest part about our society is we always, it's like once people are with us no more is like when we are most excited about what they did, right? And obviously I'm not saying anything's going to happen to Travis, but I'm saying, like, you don't want to be so caught up in the moment of hating on Travis Hunter because he plays for Deion Sanders or because you feel edgy, to ignore the fact that we may never see someone do this again, right? It could be 20, 30, 40 years before we see someone do what Travis Hunter has done. And there's no guarantee that they're going to do it as at a level as high as his, because I mean, no one's done it. So I really am astonished by Travis Hunter. I really think Colorado should already start hanging the jersey up, right? I think I don't take retiring numbers lightly. And I think Travis Hunter has done enough to have his jersey retired by Colorado. I think Shedeur Sanders would have an interesting case. But I know for certain Travis Hunter is like a for sure, like, get that number 12 up there, because what he's done for Colorado in terms of attention, success, just personal success, right? And what he's done for the sport is something that, like I keep saying, we may never see again. So Travis Hunter deserves all of the respect in the world, and I can't wait to see him hoist that Heisman Trophy on Saturday, because I'm pretty sure he will, right? I think it was the AP Player of the Year award, is whoever wins that for the past 8 years, the one who wins the Heisman. So Travis Hunter is Heisman bound, 99.9% chance likely that will happen. But in the meantime, let's appreciate what he's done for college football, because we don't want to wait too long and be like, oh, what he did was really good. And at that point, it doesn't matter, right? So let's appreciate what he's done for college football, and let's just enjoy the moment rather than taking a you know what on everything. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Colorado's latest transfer portal visitor and why he's super important to the future of this program. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Gametime. Let me tell you about Gametime. Gametime is the perfect place to get all of your tickets because they have Gametime picks, which filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals and great seats, so you don't have to waste the time searching through thousands of tickets. They have Gametime picks, which, like I said, makes it easier to save more on sports, comedy, theater, and whatever it is near you. They have all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. Seat views, get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. You just twist your phone a little bit, and you can be like, oh, this is what I would see from the third baseline, or this is what I would see from the 30-yard line. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime picks. Download the Gametime app. Create an account and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time. Go get you a ticket to the Alamo Bowl. Go get you a ticket to a college football playoff. They got the deals. Welcome back to a little glitch in the system there. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. The show would not be possible without my everydayers. You know who you are. You tune in every day. You like, you subscribe, you comment. So we have some fun in the comment section, YouTube or on X. So make sure to follow me on X and make sure to follow the show on X as well. Let's talk about it. The Colorado Buffaloes are making some progress in the terms of the recruitment of Kaidon Salter because he is slated to take a visit to Colorado. And so let's talk about what we know about him. So this weekend, Colorado is hosting Northwestern Missouri State tight end Zach Atkins. They were hosting Louisiana Monroe offensive lineman Carter Miller. They're also going to be welcoming Caleb Odom and Jaheim Otis. Caleb Odom is a 6'5" receiver from Alabama, former 5-star. Jaheim Otis is the former 4-star defense tackle from Alabama, all SEC freshman guy a couple years ago. So pretty big weekend, right? And then Kaidon Salter is expected to come. So Salter will be visiting Syracuse on Friday, and then he is setting up a visit to be with Coach Prime and the Buffs next week. So he's not coming this week. I think I misspoke, but he's coming next week. He's going to be viewed as a bridge gap quarterback for Colorado, and that's a pretty darn good one to have because you look at his numbers, right? 35 career games. Redshirt his first year, has started nearly 30. He has thrown for 5,800 yards, 56 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Pretty solid ratio there. And he's also rushed for over 2,000 yards and 21 touchdowns. So, and he had a record-breaking year in 2023, led Liberty to a 13-1 season. I think their only loss was to Oregon, which they got the brakes beaten off of them. But hey, in 2023, who didn't get the brakes beaten off of them by Oregon? Had a perfect regular season. They won the Conference USA championship. And Kaidon Salter was kind of like, he tested the waters for the transfer portal and then opted to return. I think there was hope that they could make it to the playoff this year. They didn't do that, but hey, life happens. But Kaidon Salter, one, really dynamic quarterback, right? He could run, he could throw, he could do a little bit of everything. Two, he's experienced, and I think Colorado needs that. And I know a lot of people continually, every time I bring this up, they're like, Julian Lewis didn't come to not start. Julian Lewis came to Colorado to compete for the starting job, right? I think a lot of people are confusing there's a clear path to the starting job in terms of there's a clear competition where I can win the job and I'm going to be handed the job. Julian Lewis doesn't come off to me as a spoiled brat who wants to be handed the job. So I think Coach Prime and everyone who talked to him said, hey, we really want you to come here. We really want you to be the face of this program, but you will have to earn this job, right? Because then at that point, Coach Prime would be doing his disservice to Ryan Staub, Destin Wade, who is on the team. He's now in the portal. Ponder, whoever else, right? Walter Taylor, he was in the portal as well. He'd be doing them a disservice because it'd be like, okay, you guys never have a realistic chance of playing here. But I'm going to keep you guys around and because I'm just going to keep promising the starting job to this freshman. Like Coach Prime and every program across the country, every program, let me let you guys in a little secret here. Every program tells every recruit, hey, dude, next year, oh, you're gonna be playing for us. It's gonna be great. And then once it starts getting closer, it's like, hey, next year you're gonna have a chance to compete. And then once they get there, it's like, okay, we don't owe you anything, right? We don't owe you this starting job. You need to earn yourself that starting job. And I think people are forgetting that Julian Lewis is a dog, right? If he's that good, if he's as good as we all think he is, which we all think he's really good, right? He won't worry about who's in the quarterback room because talent will show through, right? Like there's no need to be like, hey, Julian Lewis will promise you that you'll be the starter because we don't want to hurt your feelings. You're a 5-star, right? 5-stars don't start everywhere. I went through this the other day. Like DJ Lagway, he was sitting behind Graham Mertz. Arch Manning is sitting behind Quinn Ewers as we speak. And Arch Manning is like probably the most hyped quarterback prospect I've seen in my lifetime. Who else? Like Julian Sayin, transferred to Ohio State. And they're like, oh, maybe he could compete. He'd third on the depth chart. Devin Brown at Ohio State, right? Former 5-star, former number 1 overall recruit. Doesn't play right away, right? He's going to transfer. Like 5-stars don't always play right away. And when they do, it doesn't always mean it's a good thing, right? We've seen 5-stars come in. Dylan Raiola, I think, is a good example. I think he was good, right? I'm not going to take that away from him. He comes in right away, has a couple big games, and it's like, oh, wow, this guy's so good. And he looks like Patrick Mahomes, and he does the jump, and he has the haircut, and wears the headband and all that. And then it's like, oh, we're going to fire our offense coordinator because we're not seeing the results that we need. And we need to keep this guy happy, but we also need to see him develop because we didn't see him develop enough. Like there's a lot of pressure on these 5-star quarterbacks to hit or miss. There's a lot of pressure on these coaches and programs to hit or miss on these 5-star quarterbacks. Kaidon Salter is proven at the college level. Julian Lewis is not. So if Kaidon Salter wants to come to Colorado, you tell Julian Lewis as the head coach, hey, we're bringing in this guy, right? We still really like you. We still really think you could be good, but we think he is better right now. Prove us wrong, right? You'll have all of winter, spring, and fall to prove us wrong. Prove us wrong that we think he's better than you. Because at the end of the day, we love competition and we think that you should be able to earn the job. We think you're that good. So I think that sort of shows just how highly they think of Julian Lewis in a way, because it's like they're willing to bring in a guy who's one of the more experienced quarterbacks in college football. And they're still probably going to tell Julian Lewis, hey, you could win this job. Like, don't fret. Don't fret, my friend, because you could win this job. So I really think that it's one of those things where Julian Lewis is, I think people are already babying him. I don't think we need to baby him, right? Even though he's going to be 17 or 18, however old he is, he's going into a grown man's world, right? There's competition. Not everything's handed to you. I think he gets that. I think Coach Prime gets that. I'm sure his father gets that. And I think Kaidon Salter right now, because I haven't seen Julian Lewis play at the college level, I think I'd be more confident in Kaidon Salter right now than I would be Julian Lewis. And I don't think that's a wrong take. I really don't. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Robert Livingston being snubbed. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. So make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by FanDuel. I totally did like a random ad read in my head there. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Robert Livingston was snubbed, and you can't convince me otherwise. So not only was Robert Livingston not named a finalist for the Coach of the Year award, he obviously did not win it, and it was given to Curt Cignetti, which, I mean, Curt Cignetti, great pick for the award. I think I talked about this probably about a month ago, and I was like, if you told me that the finalists were Deion Sanders and Curt Cignetti, I would be fine with that. If you told me that Deion Sanders won the award, I would be fine with that because, I mean, he turned the program around from 4-8 to a college football playoff contender. Same thing with Curt Cignetti. Indiana is one of the worst college football programs in the history of the sport, and they're in the college football playoff. So either way, I would have been fine with it, right? I do think Robert Livingston, right? I think he should have won the award or at least been in the mix, right? I don't feel like he was really given the props he deserved. And I'm going to go through the finalists and sort of, I want to talk about expectations, right? Because the guys that were finalists, and this isn't to take away anything from them, it's to sort of talk about why are we so excited about this? Like, the finalists were Shane Beamer, Curt Cignetti, Spencer Danielson at Boise State, Kenny Dillingham, which I think he would have been a great pick, Marcus Freeman, Dan Lanning, Rhett Lashley, Jeff Monken, Kirby Smart. And then there's another award where it was assistants. And I think realistically, he was a top 5 assistant for he was not a top 5 assistant for the Broyles Award. And the Broyles Awards assistant, which is for assistants, because I feel like obviously the Coach of the Year award, head coach, sure. So Deion Sanders, feel like he should have been included, wasn't, whatever. Finalist, Marcus Arroyo, offense coordinator, Arizona State. I would have been fine with that. Bryant Haynes, defense coordinator, Indiana. I don't know about that. I feel like Indiana had a really good season, but whatever. Al Golden, Notre Dame, defense coordinator. Tim Banks, defense coordinator, Tennessee, which they had a really good year. And then Pete Kwiatkowski at Texas. So right now, I'm looking at Notre Dame, and this isn't me trying to shoot down these guys as finalists because they all deserve it, right? They all have great seasons. There's a reason that they're all finalists. Pete Kwiatkowski and Texas were viewed as the number 1 team in the country at one point. So you're telling me that, is this award for the best coordinator on the best team, or like, what is this award, right? I don't understand. Like, Bryant Haynes, Indiana, makes sense. Al Golden at Notre Dame and Tim Banks at Tennessee over Robert Livingston. Like, you have to remind yourselves, this is a embodiment of the coaching job they did. And these guys do great coaching jobs every year. Robert Livingston took a defense that was one of the worst in the country and made it one of the most productive in the country. Like, Robert Livingston is changing how people view Colorado. Like, Colorado had a successful season because Robert Livingston. And so it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like he deserved more credit. At the very minimum, should have been a finalist. I think he was snubbed, should have won the award, right? Colorado led the Big 12 in sacks. They were one of the best run defenses in the conference. One of the best run defenses, probably top 50 run defense in college football. Secondary, really good. Like, everything was so much better under Robert Livingston and did not see the light of day. So clearly still some more work to be done in terms of how we pick these finalists and stuff. But hey, Travis Hunter won a bunch of awards. So at the end of the day, not too bad of a day for the Colorado Buffaloes. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Locked On Buffs, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. I will see you guys on Monday.